Raptors fans, the team get a big win on the road, 133-118 over the Golden State Warriors. Akil Augustine, the Princess Ashley Docking, the well-dressed Sherman Hamilton. Raptors 15-21, 2-1 on their road trip. I'll start with my good friend Sherman Hamilton, who talked about going 500 on this trip would be pretty important and significant. They're currently ahead of the curve, and the man that really put on a show in Golden State was R.J. Barrett. Now, talk about what you're seeing from him, because a lot of people focused on the quickly aspect of this trade, but things are looking really good on the RJ side.
Yeah, and considering the game before where he didn't play in the fourth quarter, I thought he came out and that first shot went down, and you just kind of felt that he was just going to start to do something, and he started to knock down shots, got to the basket, finished, and he's a scorer. He's a guy who's going to hunt the rim. He's going to hunt putting points on the board. However, he does a good job in terms of moving the basketball, making good decisions, and I think at the end of the day, this Golden State team, it is not a good team right now.
No, they are struggling.
Big time. They are bad defensively.
Yeah.
Like really bad defensively. And the Raptors got whatever they wanted in that game, but RJ was definitely doing his thing, and it was good to see.
The added wrinkle, I think, Sherman, I want to stick with you on this one, is a lot of people talked about the Raptors' three-point shooting, but one thing we saw was they hunted post-up possessions for these guys early and often.
Yeah.
And that's something that this kind of new lineup brings an opportunity to do, right?
Well, it does, and you think about it, you're doing it because if Golden State has one chance to win, it's on the back of number 30.
Yeah.
Steph Curry is going to be the guy, and when Steph was guarding RJ, they attacked. When Steph was guarding Scottie, backed him down, bullied him, and scored on him. They put Steph Curry in compromised defensive situations consistently. And that, to me, I mean, Steph's an all-time great. But at this juncture, if you take him out of the mix, Klay can't beat you anymore. So they took Steph out of the mix.
Yeah, he had a hot start, but he faded
100%.
towards the end of the game.
100%.
Now, actually, we haven't had you on the show since the big news, so we'll focus on RJ first, but your impressions of how he changes things for this group.
It feels like they got a fresh haircut, you know, like the whole group in general. When you're just like in the house for a little while, maybe
Sherman
you're a little bit
like.
shaggy.
I did at one juncture.
He still reminisces about the nostalgic feeling. But you know, they come out and they're just like... It just feels like they have new life in them, which is nice to see. I think that they're a fun group. I think that they're an athletic group. I think that they're pushing the pace. I think it was great scout, because didn't Jamma get the bust down player of the game chain?
Okay.
He got the player of the game chain for the scout because it was his scout, and they attributed, I guess, the hunting of Steph Curry, which you just mentioned, to him. So I thought it was really smart. I think that OG was able to get to the bucket when he wanted to, but to your point, he wasn't as savage in trying to force the issue. He kind of took the opportunity that was there, and RJ makes a point to get in there.
Bullet a China shot.
And it looked like they had never been happier not to see Domantas Sabonis in the paint. It looked like they, from their Sacramento game, they're like, oh, wow, there's actually space here. Who do we got? Kevon Looney? Like, we're going to be a little bit better today.
All right, now you talk about how the team looks different. The bench looks different, right? You slide Gary Trent down. Not Gary Trent, but Dennis Schroeder. Gary Trent gets a couple more looks and opportunities, but Chris Boucher, Ashley.
Yes.
It was open season for him. He really found a way to be effective. 17 points, a great night for Chris. What did you see out of him?
The thing about Chris is that if you don't really know him as a player, you're kind of like wondering what's he going to do on any given night, because he can do so many things. He can knock down a three. He can play some defense. He's taking charges at times, finding open spaces and opportunity for himself. He's like the human embodiment of Art Attack. You remember that show? Where you're just like, what the hell is this guy doing? You're like, oh, okay, I'm getting a clearer picture. Every single time I see a little bit more, I'm getting a clearer picture. He doesn't complain. He doesn't have bad body language on the bench when he's not getting minutes. He doesn't say anything untoward. He seems like the ultimate team guy, and it feels like the team is getting the fruits of his labor that he's put in a multitude of ways.
Yeah, he's being a pro. I mean, you think about Chris is losing minutes to Jonte Porter.
Yeah.
And you think about not getting into the game at times, and then when he gets into the game, all he does is he does his job, and he does it at a high level. And to me, that game against Golden State was just the epitome of who he can be when he's at his best. I think he's perfect from the floor. He didn't miss a shot.
Yep.
Yeah, he was perfect.
It was ridiculous. His numbers were crazy, but he is your classic plug-and-play energy guy off the bench. He can shoot the ball. He can score on the basket in terms of rebounding. He can create his own shot at times, which he didn't do much of against Golden State, which was a good thing.
Because they were passing the ball
100%.
efficiently.
They got, I think they had 38 assists,
Yes,
so they
they did.
got the shots they wanted. And to me, you're not losing anything defensively with Chris in the game. He's going to rebound defensively. He's going to block shots. He's going to alter shots. He's going to draw charges, as you mentioned. He's just one of those guys that he's a true pro. And he had to grow into that because he's had some tougher times as a Raptor. But now we're seeing a guy who understands his value. He understands his pecking order on this team. And no matter what happens, he finds a way to produce when he hits the floor. It's a coach's dream right now.
Yeah, he's limiting his mistakes, and now as the talent rises on that second unit, better opportunities abound for Chris Boucher. But let's talk about Steph Curry. I think the graphic we're going to put up says cold curry, which is an absolute terrible dish. My curry must be hot out the pot.
Always.
But, you didn't see a great offensive game from Scottie Barnes, but when you look on the score sheet and you see what Steph Curry did, and you say, okay, so that's where the energy was spent, Sherm. Scottie Barnes was given that assignment, and he disrupted anything that they tried to put.
Yeah, he did. And obviously his length, his athleticism, his quickness as a younger player. And I thought Dennis Schroeder did a good job when he was on Steph, leaning on him, just kind of staying into him. And they did a very good job. When Steph gave the ball up, they went into a full front
Face guard.
facial.
Yeah.
They made sure they didn't allow him to get the ball back. Full denial. And to me, once you get the ball over half court and he gives it up, now you're looking at 14 seconds, 10 seconds, and he's working to get the ball back, eating up the shot clock. That puts you in a good situation when he doesn't get the ball. So to your point, Ashley, Jama did a great job with the scouting report, but the execution was excellent by the Raptors with consistency against Steph.
And the one thing, too, all his shots, for the most part, I'd say like 75 to 80% of his shots were coming up in transition. They were just pick and pop, and he didn't get into the flow of the offense. He maybe got his hand on a couple of passes where he got to throw some floaters in the paint, and he missed by the basket a couple times, stuff like that. But they really did not, to your point, get him involved at all. They're like, we'll play 4-on-4. No worries. You just go stand on the outside. We'll just have someone really in your face, and we're fine with that. We'll live with the results.
All right. Well, speaking of results, we really got to get our guy Scottie Barnes on the radar for All-Star this year. So make sure to vote early and often online on Twitter, anywhere that you can vote. Make sure to log in, log on, and get Scottie to All-Star. But right now, let's check in with head coach Darko.
Since the new year, you guys have won 3 out of the past 4 games. What's working?
I mean, I see us playing with a lot of joy and for each other. Guys are enjoying being on the floor and competing for each other. And obviously, feels like we have just like more tools that can help on the floor there. Just like we talked before the start of the game, and we have a couple of players that are capable to score in different ways. Like start of the game, after getting defensive stops and rebounding the ball, we did a good job of scoring early in transition with some early post ups. Throughout the game, we continued having problems with defensive rebounding, and that's something that we gotta figure out how we get better in that area, because. Transition, fast break points, we kept them only to 8, but allowed them 15 offensive rebounds. We got to be really better in that area, because that's going to also allow us more, possessions on offense and more transition opportunities.